Hey guys, today is a hastily thrown together shave. We are going to be using the Wolfman WR1, and it's the 46 gap, very low gap, with a derby. An inexpensive blade that a lot of people think is a junk blade. For me, it's a pretty good budget blade that gets the job done. It doesn't glide through here like butter usually, but it gets the job done. It's super cheap. And of course, your mileage may vary as usual. This may be a really awesome blade for you in certain razors, or maybe in all your razors. You never know. And it's so cheap, you might as well try it, right? This is the Maggard kind of special bulk ugly packaging. See, there's no ingredients label or anything like that because this was from the bulk soap that Maggard had for the purpose of doing samples. And this is Barrister and Mann Petrichor. I'm pretty sure it's not omnibus. So it's probably going to be Excelsior or maybe the modified Soft Heart. I'll have to look and see for sure. I'll put that down in the description. And so that's going to be the soap today. The smell of wet stone, the forest after the rain. That's kind of what Petrichor is supposed to be, and it kind of nails it. Yeah, I'm excited. I've not tried that scent before in any of the bases. And the brush here is the Dogwood Briar Brushworks handle, and then Declaration Grooming B13 knot. And so let's get to loading the soap. I'm going to try to be kind of fast today. A lot of water in the brush, of course. It's 28 millimeter. Shake a lot of it out. Let's get you down so you can see the loading in case it tells us anything. So there's those wet tips. It hadn't been soaking for very long, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, something like that. Let's do a 30-second load. We're starting at 55. Compared to this big 28 millimeter brush, the tub size here is a little on the small side. Not a lot of soap is coming up. Okay, and that is 20 seconds. But since we have so little foam or anything like that, let us take a little bit of water and add it to the top of the soap there. And then we'll, let's see, that was 20 seconds. Okay, so go to another 10 more seconds. Of course, if you're ever worried about getting the right amount of soap, you can always switch to scooping it out with a little measuring spoon. Quarter teaspoon is a good place to start until you figure out how much you really need. And so we didn't have a lot of it bubble up, but sometimes that's just fine. That's a neat scent. They had it in older bases, like maybe White Label, or no, did they have it in Glissant? If they did have it in Glissant, I think it was kind of a limited release or something, because it was one that I kind of always wanted to try, but it was just so hard to find. But now he's re-released it. And so this kind of ugly label that Maggard released is a wonderful opportunity to try Barrister and Mann soaps. And I think it was just like $7 for 4 ounces of soap, which is just amazing. Top tier soap for that low cost. Because now that he's switching his bases to omnibus, Maggard's is already starting to sell the omnibus base. And so they need to get rid of the, I don't think people are interested in samples of the old base anymore, Already, it's looking really nice. And obviously you can tell with the amount of lather we've got going so far, it is just not going to be a problem having enough lather. It didn't look like I had too much on my brush, but looks like maybe with this base that could be deceiving. I'm not going to get the lather as perfect, or try to get it as perfect as usual, since this is a little bit of a speed shave. I'll just kind of get it close. Maybe one more addition of water here. The scent is not super strong. It's not coming over. It is lightly coming up to my nose. It's definitely not bowling me over. Alright, let's just use that. Get my face wet now. Should have gotten that wet before I started mixing up the lather. A little bit more than a day's growth today, and that's kind of why I'm shaving off schedule. I'm trying to keep it from being a full 2 days of growth. Again, this 28mm is a large brush, but I think the loft on these B13s is longer than average for the declaration knots, and for that I am grateful. Nice soft tips, a little bit of gel, just a little bit, and easy splay, and so it's very comfortable. Now I do think with this brush you're going to be better off giving it a good soak before you use it if you want the softest tips you can get. They'll probably be a little bit more firm if you only run a little bit of water through your brush and then start shaving. But if that's what you like, obviously, then go for it. Alright. I may have hit it about right. Or this base could just be so flexible, you know? And that might really be what it is. Alright. So 46 gap WR1 from Wolfman with the derby in there. Expensive razor, cheap blade. Let's see how it works. You can kind of hear. Not super smooth. Like I said, turns out with this razor, it's also not just gliding through the hair with the greatest of ease. So there are definitely better matches of blade and razor here. So what we'll do is let's just see if it, see how it feels by the end of the shave, and see the result. Because I mean, it wasn't a tugging really. I mean, it was super light tugging. It was more like almost a rough feeling. And a little rinse. Well, I sure didn't feel a whole lot of stubble right there, so I think that rough feeling was the hair being cut quite well. How about that? Cross grain now, and I can definitely justify switching to cross grain. I don't have to do with the grain again because of all that efficiency. I just didn't really feel any stubble of consequence. Lightly holding the razor as always. Doesn't matter whether you hold it in kind of a normal, kind of a standard look like this, or if you have some special shaving grip or something, just keep it loose. Tight enough to maintain control, obviously, but I advise to keep it as loose as you can so that it glides over your contours instead of through them, causing irritation. Well, that was very comfortable. pass right there. So the first one was really the only deal. So he's just a little rough. And it feels like I could walk away after just these 2 passes. My face feels excellent. It looked like I didn't get too much soap on my brush, right? Well, kind of perfect. Kind of perfect. A little bit extra. I could probably squeeze 2 passes out of what's left here if I wanted to, but that's about how much margin I like to have when I'm doing it. Last pass now, and I do with a cross grain again. I don't feel any irritation. So that first pass, you know, does have some kind of a rough feeling to it. But after that, it's a wonderful blade and razor match. They work well together. So take that for what it's worth. And of course, it could be very different for you. But there we go. Nice residual slickness here with the soap. Yeah, nice luxury feel. You know, creamy, very enjoyable. The scent is light. It's not in your way at all during the shave. It's maybe 3 to 4 on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of strength. But this is one of those scents that might lend itself to that being kind of the level you want to experience it at. Just kind of an underlying scent during the whole shave. And I'm putting on some Stirling Agar BaM. It's an oud scent that I bet goes really well with Petrichor. Yeah, that's working really well together. Left my face a little wet so that it would spread easily. All right. Well, there we go. Quick shave in record time related to my usual adventures, right? Let me clean up this stuff. So whether this is modified soft heart, which I think is likely, or Excelsior, I think I like this base better than Omnibus. Omnibus is kind of low and gluey, and this is less so. And I think I just like this a little better because it just fits the kind of creaminess and feel that I personally want. And of course, that's a subjective thing. A lot of people are liking Omnibus, and I enjoy it too. I think I just like these a little better. And what's better than this one to me is Glissant. That's really funny. But some people are in the same camp as me, where they like older declaration bases like Bison. That's my favorite declaration base. And Glissant with Barrister and Mann, because they are starting to move with trends, you know, toward different directions. And so just because it's the new latest base, it doesn't mean it's the best. It means it's heading in the direction that the maker is wanting. And sometimes that leaves certain attributes behind, or a certain kind of slickness, or a certain kind of feel to it. And that could be a feel that you're looking for. And so there we go. Just because it's new doesn't mean it's better. Just because it's more expensive doesn't mean it's better also. All right, well, the Derby, sure, it was a little bit rough on the first pass, but very comfortable, very efficient. You know, on that second pass, everything pretty much was done. In the third pass was just a cleanup of some strays, and it did it with a great deal of comfort. You know, it did feel a little bit rough at first, but that wasn't really a tuggy feeling at all. And so that might be the only reason you might, you know, Derby wouldn't be the great choice for this razor for me. But still, definitely proves that Just because it's a cheap blade that a lot of people tend to diss, that doesn't mean that that it's not very good. Doesn't mean I won't give you a clean, comfortable shave. All right, very cool. So with that 35-second load, we used about 19 milliliters of water, and that was pretty much a perfect lather. It really was. I might have, in retrospect, added just a touch more water, but really, it was very good. It worked well. It worked well, and it was a perfect amount of lather, like I mentioned. So this glorious 28 millimeter brush almost overwhelmed the small soap tub, but it ended up working just fine. As always, remember, if you have big, thick brushes like this with a lot of density, make sure you rinse them really well and get the soap out of the core, especially. Sometimes that's problematic. If you're using really cold water, you may have to engage some warm water to make that a little more quick. All right, well, I'm smelling good. I have no irritation. Found another blade that's decent with the with that mild head on the Wolfman. Not a lot of blades have done that one well, and Derby. So I might be interested in trying it at just 24 hours of growth instead of kind of 1.5 days to see how it would be. Pretty cool. All right, guys. Well, that's today's shave. Very nice. I've been wearing Oro Valley, a seasonal release by Stirling for the last couple days. So that's the fragrance that's most likely to be put on later on. Take care. Hope this one helps you out. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Goodbye.